We've got a very special guest, one of my favourite artists out there at this moment in the underground indie hip-hop scene. And we're talking about an underground legend, or hip-hop legend generally now in 2023. We are dipping into our Digging in the Crate series, the Mach-Hommy edition. And with us today, we have got the one and only AJ Suede in the hot seat. How are you doing, my man?
Yo, I'm good. It's a pleasure to be here. Appreciate y'all.
Bro, it's a pleasure to have you. Anyone who's a regular listener to the show will know I've been banging on about Metatron's Cube and Parthian shots and just the stuff you've been bringing out with Small Pro. A lot of good music been coming from you. And today we're doing our Digging in the Crate series where you bring a song along and you tell me why you love that song. So you've picked today, Thank God, from 2016's HBO by Mach-Hommy. I can't wait. This is our first Mach-Hommy episode. You're our first guest coming on to talk about Mach. I would like to know from the start, what is your history with Mach-Hommy? What is your musical, personal history with the artist?
I think that Mach-Hommy is one of those artists, you know, I think that around the time that Griselda was getting their light, and then like Mach and Fahim and a couple of people that were on the fringes of that, I think that was an era when I started getting very excited about music again. You know, even though I was always making music, I felt like they were doing something that was so familiar to the upbringing, but in a very new way. It had that familiarity, but it was also updated and different. So one of the aside from Don't Get Scared Now, right? Classic Griselda project. That was the first time I might have heard Mach, but I was like, all right, word, this is another dude on Griselda. At that time, it wasn't like he had too much music floating out there. I was very captivated. So one day, my homie Wolf Tone is like, yo, Mach-Hommy dropped this album on Bandcamp. It's produced by Alchemist. This isn't even HBO. I started with Dump God Homie Edition, and I went back.
Right, okay.
He was like, he dropped this project on Bandcamp. It's $77, and you can't even stream it. But Earl is on it, doing production. Alchemist is doing production. And this dude named Sage Al-Seltzer, which is, you know, we know who that is now. But yeah, I heard all of that, and I was just like, wow. And then from there, I went back into HBO. Because if you do remember, HBO, I believe you can only get it on CD, and it was like $280 a CD.
Yeah.
These are things is like, you know, the game, we're in the midst of rap music being in the model of we're going to put stuff out on SoundCloud and maybe we'll make money off of a feature or off of a show. It wasn't necessarily, somebody for me got very excited because it seemed like you could make this real skill-based music, and it's about the music. It's not about the identity. It's not necessarily about like, you know, the image of the music, which I think in a way that's kind of what dudes like Mach and Woods and them do. It was just brand new to me, and I was super excited. So by the time I found HBO and ran that a million times, there was one song on that album, and this is in the very early part. I credit a lot of these songs. I credit HBO, Dump God Homie Edition, and Rosebud's Revenge as being like very big parts of the soundtrack of my first year in Seattle, living in Seattle.
Right.
So I will always associate those projects with that time because it was a big transitional period. I was kind of in limbo with the type of music, the state of the rap game at the time, you know, which I feel like was kind of having an identity crisis. It was super homogenized, you know, to this kind of renaissance that was in a very, very, very early. So I just, you know, those songs and those projects got a very special meaning to me.
I just want to take you back then to that beginning of what you said there, where you said like what these guys were doing as a crew, Griselda, you name check there, but Mach as well and Fahim, all this crew. You said they were doing something that was common that you had heard before that you could relate to, but they were doing it in a more modern way. I was wondering, as an artist, is it easy to separate what was the thing that you related to that you think they were harking back to, but what was the thing that they were doing that kind of made it more modern? Could you put your finger on that, or?
Oh, for sure, because they all do it in different ways, each of the members. And I think the familiarity is more so the backdrop, right? And it's like, there's the familiarity of like the woo kind of element, but then, you know, I was super big into Reloaded, rock when that dropped. But the subject matter and the new flows, I feel like, especially with somebody like Mach, there were new flows unlocked. It wasn't necessarily about rhyming on the floor. It was kind of like, from the perspective of the rap as an instrument and vocals as an instrument, there was a new kind of swing. So I think that's like Mach's contribution to the modernization of it. Whereas like somebody like Westside Gunn is very good with having like older sounding backdrops or more traditional sounding backdrops, but constantly making reference to modern pop culture, modern fashion, modern lingo, you know, as opposed to when you listen to some of the foundation of the rap, not to call anything dated because everything is timeless, but the lingo and certain deliveries and certain cadences is kind of what makes a song, a classic hip hop song, recognizable within the first 5 seconds of hearing it. Even the way it's mixed, you know, like even the way that dynamics in music work now, where it's not the way that a Tribe Called Quest song was mixed is not the same way that, even if you're working from home, you know, I feel like me doing my best job of mixing from home is almost equivalent to how the Top of the Notch song might have been mixed during that time period with a budget.
Yeah.
So there's just many things that make it modern, but you just kind of feel it when you hear it. It's like people love familiarity because it's easy to be like, oh, this brings back a certain feeling that was gone for a minute. But it hits a little bit harder when I could go to my dad or somebody from that generation and be like, yo, check this out. Y'all always complaining about rap. Y'all always complaining about this. Like, this is it's not the same. Like, you know, this ain't the same as Gang Starr. You know what I'm saying?
Do you have those people in your life that you have these arguments with, by the way? You know, the people that are like that, you know, the people who are a bit more like rap's kind of dead. I've heard this said a few times in my circles.
For sure.
Like, so do you have that in your social kind of network system?
My social network, not necessarily, because it's like, it's interesting because like everybody's so different. The person I go back and forth the most about these things is my dad, because my parents were teenagers, like in the midst of hip hop becoming a thing, right? So my dad be having these opinions. So it's always kind of me going like, yeah, but check this out, you know, because lovingly, he's kind of a hater when it comes to like a lot of rap. So it's funny enough, I showed him millions and millions of different people doing this shit around the time it was first blooming, but he's just like surprisingly and interestingly, he's really big into RJ Payne.
Oh,
and I think, yeah, so it's just funny, out of all of these people, I noticed that people from his particular age group, and this is no slight on RJ Payne, because, you know, he is a little bit, they love RJ Payne because he does that updated sound in the flow that's very familiar to them. It doesn't, it's real punchline heavy, and it doesn't deviate from the traditional formula, you know?
You have hit a hot topic word right there, bro. That's exactly the artist my older friends cite, RJ Payne. And I really like RJ Payne. I absolutely see where they're at with it. I also have that kind of time in my life where hip hop wasn't bringing me the weirdness, aside from a few artists out there, Doom, Madlib, Dilla's beats were kind of weird, those kind of things. I remember that being around, but it wasn't really until I think Space Ghost Perp was one of the first. And like,
Space Ghost Perp is the GOAT.
Right?
Hands down. Shout outs to Perp.
Yeah. I remember hearing him for the first time thinking, I want to latch onto this feeling. And obviously I had Future around the same time, maybe a bit before, Earl. So this is interesting. When Matt came around, I'm wondering for you, this is a kind of a 90s show we do, but we've morphed into like underground hip hop because that's what we're into. I was wondering, new listener comes to you today and they've never heard Mac before. How would you describe his work, or maybe lay out the foundation for them before they were to listen, or convince them to listen to Mac?
I feel like I very early on, just me being a fan of music, there was a couple people, especially when you're in the midst of making it or being like a contributor, even on your side, you're constantly trying to recapture that feeling of when you found a great song or when you found a great new artist. And like, that's a feeling that we chase. That's like we constantly are searching because we chase that feeling, and we like to kind of be the ones that bring that music back. And at least at the time, I could take credit, like at least my friend group, for doing that for people like Lil B and Space Ghost Perp, and like the people who kind of kick off these waves. So if I had to like try to bring Mach to a new person, I would just say mathematical. Mach is mathematical, and it's like, and it's even not easier, but it's funnier because it's like there's a real big crossover, and you'll see it between like people who were into like punk and into this kind of style of underground music, as opposed to like the more polished radio accessible stuff.
Yeah.
And most people who are in the time signatures from more instrumental styles of music or jazz will have a real easy time latching on to Mach-Hommy, because you go to a punk show, you go to a show that's within a different genre, a lot of the times it's not a solid 4 on the floor head nod. You might be nodding on the snare or nodding someplace on the tom. People who need that constant 4 head nod might not gravitate as much towards an artist like Mach-Hommy, because it might be requiring you to do a little bit too much math in your head. For me, that's the way I see it. I might be overcomplicating it because obviously they're non-musicians that like Mach, but I think it is one of those situations where it's more of a mathematical thing. And I listen to it like from the perspective of like, at least we talking about 2017, 2016 HBO drop. These are different ways of attacking these beats. There's something familiar about these beats, but it's a very different way about attacking it. The content is different. There's a thing about like 90s rhymes, even though we love it dearly, where a lot of the times you can catch yourself rhyming about rhyming, or, it's like part of rap, you're going to talk your shit. So it's going to be rhyming about rhyming about my crew is better than your crew. Traditional things, the competitive aspect of rap. But I just don't think that that's really too much about what this style of rap is at this current point of being a wordsmith in this game,
That's interesting that you say that, because I hear Mac and he is like he's got so much weaponry. He's got he can come at every different angle. And I think the joy of Mac's music is multitudes. Like at some points, I just like the performance of his lyrics. Like like in this song in particular, we'll talk about it in a bit, but just like the way he uses his pace, like just a thing like that to keep me kind of propelling me forward in the track. But at the same time, he'll have a punchline that will knock me sideways. Like this track lulls you into that. What's it where he says, the motherfucking judge want to hang us, respect where respect due and disrespect where it ain't then. That whole moment, that's it. Respect should be measured with gloves, the drug dangerous.
And the way it's delivered in that song, as far as the flows are concerned, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not even to the point all the time. It's like, yes, what he's saying is crazy. This is a thing that I think that gets lost on a lot of purists. Where there's a lot of artists out there, a lot of rappers who are generally, traditionally, by textbook standards, great rappers, really great at rhyming words. But I think it's not just what you say, it's also how you deliver and how you say it. And when somebody's able to execute both, that's the type of stuff that, like, as somebody who tries to get better every day, that's the type of shit that piques my attention, So
that's
he's saying, like, all those bars you quoted are crazy, but think about the way that they were laid out on between the drums of the track.
Yeah, the performance of it. This is what I mean. Sometimes just how he's interweaving through a song. He does it. Stellar Ray Theory as well as another one where I just think, how has he got it so on point? I don't know if he rehearses, like if he has it written down for a long time. If I don't know how he works.
You know what I think it is though, and I'm gonna say it because these are people who didn't start getting that modicum of acclaim until they were already masters.
Yes.
You know, it's like whatever failures and ups and downs that they had, we weren't aware of them at this time. So it's like, which is something that all of us have. By the time they got their shot, it's already 10, 15 years plus of rapping, you know, and like over the time of that, like me, I've been doing this 10 plus years, and I feel like it wasn't until the last two, the ball started rolling. And because of that, it's like, you know, people who might enjoy what I do, you unlock an arsenal based on things that may have worked for you in the past and things that may not have worked for you. You got more chances. And I think that Mach might be one of those artists that, you know, you're doing this, even if you're doing it 20 years ago in the lobby, you know, with your friends, it's like you unlock flows. Flows are like arsenal's a good way to put it. Like, you know, there's certain times like less about myself, but when you hear a joint, it's like you got certain joints off the top of your head. Like, I'm going to use this flow. And I can imagine somebody like that, like their arsenal is stacked, you know, and I think like it kind of starts, at least for me, it's like, you know, I think like somebody to be able to have that many flows in your arsenal is what makes you a bad man and shit. So,
yeah. For you then, that's interesting. You related to yourself. So you're a lyricist, and have you, obviously you must have felt yourself get better as you're putting those hours in your craft, you're sharpening it. You know, when you get to, have you had that moment though where you're maybe a bit stuck, or there's a bit of a block, or there's something where you think, I don't know how I'm going to overcome this? Do you remember a time when that happened before these last 2 years where you started to see a role? How do you get past that? And did you ever have it?
Yeah, I think it happens, but I think early on, you know, a lot of people say I drop a lot of music. I personally don't think I drop too much. I drop like once every 3. I pretty much play in every season. But I think there was times early on, you know, I used to drop at a more, I'm talking years ago, 1 album a year. Then I'm going to do these videos on YouTube and video links back to the Bandcamp. And this is the album that captures this period of time, which might be a longer stretch of time. And then I would do that. And at my level, it wouldn't necessarily get the look that I want, right? So it's like there's 2 things you could do. You can wallow in that, which a lot of people who might have started with me that's not here anymore did. Me, I was always like, I'm going to start the next one, and the next one is going to be bigger than the one before it, and it's going to make people go back. So because I stay focused on the next one, I think is the short answer. And that in those moments where it's easy to sit there and wallow on that current project, that project's not done. You know, like even if I have a video that I might, or something of that nature that I felt like this one didn't get the looks it deserved, I'm focused on the next one, grabbing somebody new and sending them back down through the rabbit hole. So staying focused on the future doesn't necessarily keep me stuck on those things of the present. And, you know, I get validation, not that I'm seeking for validation, but from a lot of like people who people are fans of, you know, like I know my beats are dope because there's people I look to who make dope ass beats that tell me my beats are dope. You know, it's like there's certain people whose favorite rappers are like people I could hit up.
Yeah.
You know, so that's those type of things where it's like, you need that type of belief in order to keep looking forward. But I know my shit is dope. So I just kind of stay buried in the music. I just stay buried in it. And then like in between those times when you hit them blocks and you're not feeling creative, you just got to try to live life. Or I try to go home. I'll go home. I'll go back home for a little bit. I'll go be around some family. And, you know, it's like one of those things where to me, it's hard to find things to do that's not making music at this point. I actively got to go and try to like take myself out of that environment. In order, you know, because I feel like I stay mad inspired just because I keep seeing people. I see the whole journey from certain people. I've seen people come up and I be super proud of them. Every years, they let you just know this shit is real, shit is doable, it's attainable. So
yeah,
just keep looking ahead. Sure.
I love that, man. Absolutely. And you were saying there about having a break, going to the family. I remember thinking there's a lot of references in Mac's music to his background, his surroundings, his family. Like there are moments when I feel like I'm getting to the artist and peeling these layers back with everything new that he drops. And I was just thinking back to his whole career and you taking a break when you get a block. I don't know what was going on in his life when, like, people who are listening who haven't heard Mac, like, I think the first registered release is like 2004. So he has been around for a minute, but then he didn't drop properly till 2013-ish, 2012, 2013. And then even then, if I remember correctly, there was another gap. And I'm not sure how much of that had to do with politicking with Griselda or whatever it was, but 2013, I think it was 2016, he came back into, like, it's just his life. Like, if you could genuinely look at like a trajectory documentary of Mac, and I'm sure in 10 years there'll be someone out there who's doing a doc on Mac, and I just think like that is a pretty
probably going to be it's going to be Tyrone de Harlem. Easily. That's the only dude that got that type of access, but I can see that happening.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but this is what I mean. But I'm here for it because you see where he is now, and like the Gat is selling for like $3,000. That thing is big up all the people down the south.
This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm saying. It's like, all right, let's say that the first run of CDs I ever did, right? That I was like, all right, I'm going to stop making these CDs myself. I'm going to outsource it. I still have a couple of those, but the newer joints gone, right?
Yeah.
Every once in a while, somebody goes back to the older one. So it's like I might not have made it all in that moment, but I believe enough that it was going to go. So when you see an artist like you just said, the Gat is an old, not accessible album. You had to go through means. You had to care enough, right? I'm not going to advocate for, pirating. You had to care enough to track these things down and then to move them to from your computer to your phone. It wasn't like just, let me go on streaming and get these. There's an element of, especially younger me, wanting everybody to hear your music. You want your music to be for everybody, whether you want it to be popular or not. You want everybody to hear it and take what they will. This dude kind of put up a wall from the jump and was like, you have to seek it out. You have to come to the source. Like the music has to be so good. It made it about music being good. We were like in an era where it was like all the superficial shit towards the end of the SoundCloud stuff. And I'm not knocking nobody, but then the tastemakers became fools like No Jumper and all of this shit that was all about everything but the music. But to make music so undeniably good that you can't even stream it. You can't even, it is a whole nother thing. And before I start rambling, I think because of that time period of like the first one being there, 2005 break, 2013 break, it becomes more about like, I've been doing this for X amount of years. So you either gonna fuck with me or you not.
Yeah.
These are the only things that could come with years of experience and years of knowing yourself to be like, I've been doing this so long and I found other means to make sure I'm good. So I don't necessarily care if everybody has access. I'm just drawing the line right now. So
yeah,
there's different ways of attacking the game. It's interesting because there was only one way for so long.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is what's inspiring as someone on the sidelines watching being in hip hop culture, but seeing the artists I love, how they've had to adapt to the business, to the shifting musical landscape, to streaming, this direct consumer model that yourself, Bandcamp, I mean, big up the Bandcamp people out there. I know there's been massive layoffs as well, so big up all those people.
Sure.
It's such an essential kind of avenue for people like us, the heads, the geeks, the nerds who want to really get into it. That's what makes our lives a bit better to live.
But, and then we cross-pollinated. I'm going to throw myself in that group because, somebody like me, I could bring that to all the people, I'm the music nerd.
Yeah.
Everybody else around me, but I could bring that. We're the ones who cross-pollinate. We're the ones who allow, for example, Chief Keef was the man in Chicago.
There you go.
It wasn't until Pitchfork and then Lil B did the remix that that the music geeks created that thing where the artist can diffuse from underground into these situations. So
it's a mad world on how it all is connected and works now. The industry, I hate calling it the industry because it feels like there's an indie. I just love the indie artists, what they're doing, man. And big you all up.
You know, the major dudes, they know what time it is too. They be listening to everybody, bro. They be stealing.
Mac and Jigger. This is what I'm talking about. The mythology of this guy, Rock and Jigger. And I know Jigger is kind of dipping his hands more into this, but let's not sleep. JLX has
this is great. JLX does, and this is one of them things where it's like, you know, you listen. Act 2 didn't drop until X amount of years later, but I feel like it's right at home with the release of today. JLX, you know, I mean, but you know, I think it's dope. You see the situation with Jay-Z, pretty much. These are the people who kind of pioneered the style in one way or another. Rock Marciano is the godfather of this shit.
Yes.
I believe that Griselda was able to take that in a way, plus other things, and bring it to a level that Rock at the time couldn't do by himself.
Yeah.
Mach is like the business, the Nipsey Hussle of this shit, lazily.
Yeah.
You know, lazy comparison, but it's like, in Hove, being somebody who's aware of all of that through people around him or not, it's really dope. I'm not going to speak out of place, but Jay-Z in the Rockefeller era was very much known to not allow, from artist mouth, and you never know, people around him to necessarily be bigger than him. Kanye West is his own animal, you know, but to see the industry dudes could choose to ignore this shit. It's dope to see Jay-Z pretty much doing what he does for each of these instrumental players. And I don't think it's over.
No.
You know?
No.
There's more people that these people are aware of that they're going to have to, the lines are going to get very blurred within the next 2 years.
Do you think?
For sure, because the concept of the word underground is like, it changes a lot, right? So it was like, I was even talking to my girl about this. I'm like, Tyler Creator's an underground artist. He's bigger than a lot of these people, right? But when's the last time you heard him on the radio? When's the last time you was out shopping in Macy's? This goes for a multitude of people. So that, these are these type of joints, and I'm going off on a tangent right now.
Please do. I love it.
Where the moment somebody like Drake decides that they want to go independent, the moment when somebody of that caliber decides that they want to go independent, it's over. Because what does the word indie artist mean? Even if they have a major distribution from a Sony or whatever, like the definition is going to constantly change, and those lines are going to get blurred within the next 2 years. Our people who we were 2 years ago, our first guy hit to you was from interviews of people that are playing tours in the big venues now. Straight up.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty mad. It's pretty mad in how the growth is so, I don't know. I really do hope all the people like yourself who are putting this work in get that due, whatever their goals are, whatever your goals are, whatever it is, I'm here for people to reach those goals. And I just think, I never knew what Mac's kind of like blueprint was when he first come out. It's just, I almost feel like he's a fully formed, like I know he loves film. I know he painted the artwork for this, like HBO. He's painted art. He is an artist beyond just the form of hip hop, I feel, which is also a very interesting thing that just informs his mythology. And there is a mythology around Mac now. And I don't know if he wanted it to be that or not, but his fierce identity plastered across his face, but you don't get to see his face. It's the same thing with Doom. As soon as you're going into the arena and having a new persona or not being your Woods is another one, automatically there's a mythology around it because we can project our own thoughts and feelings onto your work without you portraying it like, I don't know how to put it in better language, but
it's true. That's what I'm saying. It makes it just about the music.
Yes.
It's just really crazy because it's like the image rule. The image, it becomes an image in a way, obviously, but image ruled the game. for so long, where it's like there was the moment, especially 2016. I think 2016 was a very pivotal year for a lot of things changing because SoundCloud went mainstream. The figureheads of that era, this is where the radio was headed, right? And then the figureheads of that era died. Keep it real, you know, like there was 3 of them. I'm not going to linger on names. There was an era where the game was kind of in limbo. All these industry plans were popping up. Image ran it. So to just make it about the music, and then, you know, like you said, fully formed artists, there's kind of like a Sotheby's auction house kind of situation going on where it's like, yo, you want this piece of art, you know, like you can either go to the library and see it or you got to buy it for yourself. There's no in between. So, yeah, I mean, you know, sorry.
No, sorry to jump in there, but it just had to interject with something I'd read of Mac. Talk in the Fader did a really good 3-part special, just looking into, you know, just talking to him. And I thought there was a really interesting moment. He talks about creativity and his own thoughts on creativity. And then they asked him about paying $300 for a tape.
Yo, you know that's $500.
Yeah.
£300.
£300.
Like 400, like 420.
Yeah, 420. But on eBay now they go for crazy money, you know? So it's like you see it now. And he put it this way, and this is what I thought was really interesting, his thoughts on the role of music in our lives, and not the image, but the music, is he says, ask yourself what you would pay for 1 hour of happiness. Would you pay $300 for 1 hour of happiness? Now, if I told you that 1 hour of happiness, that 1 hour where you could be transported outside of yourself, what if I told you that was infinitely repeatable by you whenever you chose to do it again, with no limitation on it, and other than you having the time to listen to it?
Yo, let me tell you something about that line, because that shit has made me make some ridiculous purchases. There's been many times where it's like, especially with video games, I think about that line. And I'm sitting here like, shit, am I going to go spend $20 to go to the movies and be for 2 hours and get some popcorns, or am I going to catch this little video game on sale and get 50 hours of entertainment? So I do remember that line, and I think that I've used that line to justify some impulse buys.
I love that you have that line in your head, because it's so true. Yeah. And essentially it comes down to, do you think 1 hour of happiness is worth the music, what you've paid for the music? It's just that simple. And I think that is...
But here's add on to that shit too, is that when you buy it, you listen to the whole album. You don't take it for granted. It's not like streaming. When I was thinking about this the other day, before streaming was so popular, when I used to have to download zips and move every joint to my phone, I was even more likely to listen to the whole project. Now that we don't have to carry none of it with us, it's real easy to hit next if the first 30 seconds ain't going your way. Yeah. So also buying that music, you're more likely to be like, I spent this. I want to sit through the whole entire thing and get every penny with it.
Yeah. Exactly. It doesn't stop the other nerds, the conspiracy nuts, delving in and taking the shine away from the music sometimes. I've been on TikTok videos and I've seen where they're talking about, who is Mach-Hommy? He's an extra in Hunger Games. He runs a farm. He does, you know, we see all this and it's fun. It is fun. But at the end of the day...
iceberg video coming soon.
Yeah.
You know those iceberg videos?
Yeah. And it's just got everything down. That's exactly where this is going to go. Exactly. And I think the mystery of Mac kind of really helps. We've not even talked about this song yet. We might as well get to the song now. The song itself, thank God. Thank God. When you think of, so first of all, I just want to kick off with you on that front. All of Mac's ridiculous history, why was Thank God the one you picked to talk about?
So like, as we keep talking about that time period and like the way that music was adjusting, if you notice, the first verse of Thank God very much belongs on a trap beat. Not belongs, but you can drop the whole backdrop and put some rolling hats. I think it's a good, not even for me, because, you know, I kind of come from this shit, but if somebody was necessarily into that style of music and I wanted to bring them over here, it's like, all right, this first verse right here is everything that you might be familiar with, right? Now I got your head inside of the beat, mind you, hypnotic beat. The beat is ridiculous. The beat, you know, obviously these are all great people, but I think that the beat is what keeps you hypnotized. I think was that August? Was that August Fanon?
August Fanon, yeah, big August, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think that first verse is something that was very familiar at the time with the with kind of like that rolling hat type of flow done in his style, but still very crisp. You know, you could tell like it wasn't half-assed at all. And then there was a multitude of flows within that song on top of a very hypnotic beat. And then you get a kind of a melodic hook. There's a lot of different, I feel like there's a lot of genres, not genres because that's kind of limited, but a lot of styles of vocalization within that one track. And the beat is great. So that's what else can you, one flow, another flow, I think another 8 bars in, sing-song hook, more traditional type of flow, but still doing wild swings and pocket on the second one. There's a lot as a nerd for music and like making music, not even just hearing music. Like it's hard to hear a song for me without breaking it down. It takes the enjoyment out of like non-music makers like my girlfriend and shit listening to music with me. Because it's like I gotta break some shit down and put it back together.
Yeah.
That song is dense within that little time period that it's high level of skill, you know? Makes it look easy.
He does. That's exactly what it is. He makes it look easy. And I think he's got better as he's gone on. I would say
for sure.
Pray for Haiti is just unreal lyricism on that whole, one of the best rapped projects I've ever heard, I would say. And it's been a few years. I'm calling it now. Already that is up there. I'm repping it right now.
It's a modern classic.
100%. And
you know, those guys are all super prolific. So it's not like, you know, throwing out that term for all of them, but they all do got their, each of them has a classic.
Yeah.
Mach got more than one though. It's safe to say Mach got 2 undeniable classics.
Are we going down this road? Because I would say
HBO
definitely. HBO definitely. Pray for Haiti definitely. The Gat, I could see the Gat being also, I'm not sure if it's an underground classic more than a renowned classic, but God, yeah, no, he's got so much music. It's like Woods as well, like you were talking about earlier.
The Gat is like a cult. The Gat is a cult classic. I was just thinking about it. It's a cult classic because there's like a group within the group that really, really love that project. I think that it's a very interesting project, and I think it's not a difficult project, but the level of difficulty in rhyming, I think that it's a complex project.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's very easily, for me, it's not something I want to listen to all day. I think it was a great display of skill for a good sit down to absorb it for me, but it's not one that I really return to.
Not the one, but like Dump God though, like Dump God Hommy edition, that's another one that I know that people put up there.
Yeah. I think the thing with that one is that it's so hard to get your hands on it that around the time that he's really started popping off, there's a lot of people who still might not be aware of that project, you know?
Yeah.
I think that if it did ever get the chance to get a proper re-release with the vinyl and everything, people would go back and be like, wow.
Yes. 100%. It's maybe the exposure. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The heads who know, but it is that exposure to like something like, I suppose Pray for Haiti, probably being his most widely released. Like I know more people I know have heard that album and probably only that album because it's just because it was available on streaming from Jump. And
also, you know, very, very clean, very like as far as like some of that mix, to certain people, the mixes of the older ones might be kind of off-putting.
Yes.
Because now you can tell listeners are starting to get more knowledgeable about these things. Because everybody's a rapper in one way or another, some type of musician, right? So people are starting to, like, you've seen it with, and I don't want to spend too much time dropping too many names outside of our topic, but you've seen it with the Scare and the Hose first single.
Yeah.
A lot of people were talking about the mix. People who generally you wouldn't see that before. So I think the mix of certain Mach-Hommy people mixes. There's one Mach-Hommy album that I really like, but I can't listen to it because the mix is crazy. And that's The Spook.
Oh.
Spook got some joints, but the vocals are so fucking loud that I had to turn the whole song down.
Yeah.
And I like my shit kind of at like a 1-1. I set this along. Like my inspiration for mixing comes from 4AD Records.
Okay.
Old 4AD Records tracks, like hands down. Lush, Cocktail Twins.
Yeah.
All of those bands that was on 4AD. It's 1-to-1. The vocal, you want to hear the vocal, turn the whole song up. It works together. Yes. So that's, I think Pray for Haiti is devoid of any of those. It's super clean. It's even though it's super complex, it's very easy to bring somebody into this world with that album.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's an interesting thing when you talk about Pray for Haiti being clean. HBO, thank God, there are these grimier moments that even the mix on some of these tracks is grimy as fuck on HBO, but thank God stands out on that album. When you hear that song, it's got this mournful like thing to it. His lyrics are obviously very potent, as we've talked about before, but like I think that vocal sample on that beat by August, it's just your one-way ticket, punch your ticket, I'm now going to transcend for the next 3 minutes. It literally is that. Sure. You're just going to float because the his baritone, like I'm not into jazz as much, but I can imagine jazz heads just feeding off the baritone in his voice, and it takes that whole it takes another level up.
Yo, it's like a saxophone.
Yes.
It's like a saxophone, straight up.
Yes.
Especially you want to mention the term baritone. And that's the thing. It's like, I was thinking about the role that the more minimal, repetitive styles of beats play for me as somebody who has a hard time focusing, is that it's very hypnotic. And once the beat kind of gets your mind caught in the loop, you hang on to every word.
Yes. Yeah.
Hang on to every word, just because it's like by that time I feel like, you know, you're in that loop, you're caught up in that loop, and now it's a lot different. There's not so much to distract you. So it's just like you said, baritone. It's like a saxophone on top of. It's like the beat is the constant, but the saxophone is going all over the place.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, definitely. And this is the thing. Then people talk about how you like. I think you talked about obviously, you know, how you'd kind of introduce a new listener to Mac. But I always hear I hear Mos Def all the time. When I first heard Mac, when I fell in love with Mac, there was something about him and Mos Def's kind of singy-songy style. Sometimes he'd be bringing their melodies into his hooks or his just bars. Sometimes it's just melodious fucking bars he's dropping for us. And I always hear that. Then I did hear someone somewhere, I cannot remember who it was, say he's basically a mix between Prodigy and Mos Def. And I was like, oh, Prodigy and Mos Def as Mac. And yeah, I don't know why I went into that, but I just thought there where you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely. What part of the UK you live in?
I now live in the Midlands, but I was in London. For a while.
Okay, yeah. Where's Salisbury at?
Oh, Salisbury, yeah. You know what? I need to look at a map, but I think you're the only rapper who's mentioned Salisbury.
Yeah, I met Yasin in Salisbury.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah.
What, on a gig? You know, what was that?
Yeah. I was out there with Rap Pereira. We Out Here Fest.
Right.
And he was back there. You know, nobody really wanted to talk to them because that's like, you know, those are the gods, especially like Yasin and shit. But I went and said what's up, and he showed some love. But I only bring that up because he don't get enough credit for his singing and his melodics. I don't think I was listening to the new Danger 2 days ago. And there's a lot of, mind you, his albums after Black on Both Sides were quote unquote critically panned.
Yeah.
I think if you go back and revisit some of those joints like the Panties and a lot of sing-song joints on there, you don't really get any credit. And I think it gets overlooked. And I never once equated those two, but I can definitely see that. You know, and there's also something about Caribbean culture. Yeah. Brooklyn, very Caribbean place. Most people from Brooklyn are of Caribbean descent. Mach is of Caribbean descent. Mos Def is of Caribbean descent. Yeah. So and it's very big. That you would kind of hear that type of style in that rock in their rhymes. Also, shout out to Curly Castro because that's another one.
Big up.
You can hear that.
Big up Castro. Yeah. Big fan of him, and he's been on the pod a few times. He always smashes it. But that's interesting. You talk there about culture and identity, and Mac having it at the forefront of his art, his music, and his art, like this painting on it. And
he's taught me more about Haitian culture than Haitians that I've known growing
up. Wow. You see what I mean? Like, obviously, personally,
they're
over here,
very, very proud of their culture, though. That's something that you know. But it's not to the point where I feel like HBO is kind of giving some history lessons. You hear stories about Papa Doc and you hear stories about like the regime, but
Yeah.
There's also, like you said, there's history lessons within it. And
yeah,
that's cool, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And as a nerd, you want to dig deeper. Once you see the art, oh, what's that about? How's he painted that? Whatever. And yeah, absolutely. I had a few categories then before we wrap this one up. By the way, I'm not going to do any sample snitching, but the sample on this is incredible. The song that they sample as well is incredible. So yeah, no, we just had to give that a head nod as well. Categories, right? I have a few categories here. Just a bit of fun we're gonna have before we wrap it up. This one's called Jacking the Beat, right?
Okay.
So, who would work best if they jack this beat? And it's not Mac. Which other artist would you want to hear on this beat? Oh my days. Yeah.
That's all I could think of. That's only, like, just without even thinking. I didn't even put too much thought.
I can't.
Rock could smash it, you know, but I feel like we have a lot of rock songs in that vein.
Yes.
You know, that wouldn't. I think I got that.
Yeah, Car's a really interesting one because when I'm thinking of Car in this, Car's music is a bit more, he's even said it himself, it's enshrouded from a place of pain and negative space.
You use the term mournful.
Yes, mournful.
Very mournful.
Yes, it has that exact same thing. Love that. So we talk about What If as well. What If, same year, so this is 2016, I listed a few artists, 2017 actually, I think it might have been. I listed a few artists that have come out that year. One of these artists, you could get a collab project with Mac. So one of these, Quelle Chris, Mike, Wiki, Open Mike Eagle, Future, Playboy Carti, if you're into that, Vince Staples, Tyler the Creator.
Well, really, I'm going to say Lucid.
2017.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said 2017. I was not, I was listening. I just got hip to Rome in 2017.
I think that was, I think Rome might have been around that time. Lucid and Mac.
I mean, the easy choice would be to go for Woods, but I think Lucid would be great for that just because,
But Lucid's got the melody as well. Lucid's got that melodious thing, them harmonizing over. Oh, yeah, this could go a lot of different places. Absolutely. Who are you having on the beats? Because Earl's done a lot of work with this guy. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like because the common thread between them is August Fanon, I would say. But I think Nicholas Craven would be great.
That'd be interesting. Craven.
Yeah, I think that'd be because it would just give him the space to really bar out,
Yeah, he loves that. Mind you, the Craven Mac collabs, Let's Not Sleep, some of those are some of my favorite Mac just performances.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. There's this one, a Lucid Nicholas Craven song that's really good. I think it's called like 50 Wings. So I think that's all the proof. It's amazing. That's probably my favorite joint on that project, and there's some heavy hitters on that project. So
nice. Yeah, big up Lucid, man. Big up Arm & Hammer. They've been dropping some absolute fire as well. Okay, and the last one then, we used to call it the Trinity feature because it used to be a feature Trinity. We talk about the 90s a lot. We talk about just how there were some feature kings back in the day who would basically rip any feature and probably own the track. If you could have one of these guys on this track, who would it be? Well, I think
the king, before you even go with the king of that, is Busta Rhymes.
Yeah, he's right in here. He's right at the top. Busta, yes.
Busta Rhymes is too hype for me on a beat like that. Who is another option? Who else would you put up there?
So the other options we have, we realised back in the day, it's Busta, Method Man, Redman, Nas. And as we started evolving it, we were like, look, if you're really looking at it, DMX and Cannabis features were ridiculous. Like, they were ridiculous when they dropped at the time. Yeah. So you could have one of them guys. And
well, I mean, anybody who knows my history knows I'm very biased towards Redman.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm gonna rock with Method Man on this. I think Method Man
slow it down.
He has the cadence.
Yeah.
He has the cadence for a beat like this, only because I don't want to get a new emotion out of the beat. I kind of want to still play. I don't want that juxtaposition of somebody who could be as hype as Red or Busta on this beat. I think it changes the emotion of the song.
Yeah. I was thinking Nas, back in the day, Nas, like slow Nas, like just slow, keep it like you said, the energy, the samples bring in, the energy, the beats bring in, keep it on that level. Absolutely. Love it, man.
I would like to see Nas do more work with some of these people. It doesn't happen.
He's had this Hit Boy thing, right? He's been doing this Hit Boy thing. It's finished now.
I love the Hit Boy albums. They're not really popular within like the purist type of joint, but I'm talking about as far as like there's no Nas in Conway.
Yeah.
There's no Nas and Rock. You know, I mean, I know there's something else. I think there might be something else going on there, but I think Nas is definitely one of the greatest, but I think that he's not being challenged. You know, I'm gonna go see Nas live tonight. Matter of fact.
Oh damn! Snap.
Yeah, Wu-Tang tour.
Oof, that should be heavy. That should be heavy.
Yeah.
I'm interested where you're saying that with Nas, because he doesn't have many features on his last album, Magic 3, I think. And I was thinking it's interesting when he doesn't have a feature. Like, I think he has Wayne on there, and Wayne bars out. But I was like,
Wayne smoked it.
Yeah, he absolutely. So he woke up. I said it on the show. He actually woke up. It feels like, Wayne was awake for this one, and he went in. But it'd be interesting to see someone hungry, young, on a track, pushing. I'm sure as an MC you probably feel that you have someone who's pushing, and it pushes you to do a bit more than you would do. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he needs that.
Yo, because it's like, you know, you nice, but it's not really until you get some people who are nice in the same room as you, and then you get into that mode where it's like,
yeah,
it does bring something out of you, something like that you can't do on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, AJ, this has been amazing chat. You know, one song we went in about an hour on it, and I love that. I want to know though, for you, where can the people find you? What's coming next? Is there anything you want to promo? Yeah, hit us up, man.
Yeah, you know, me and Still Tip Dub just dropped our project. It's called Reoccurring Characters. And I guess I could tell y'all, me and Rap Ferreira dropped this year.
Oh,
Jesus. Yeah. I'm not going to actually give the date out because we got the date, but I'm just going to wait till more formalities. But, you know, y'all heard it here. Jesus. We've been talking about it for the last two or so years, letting it build its own legend while we traveled, doing some myth building exercises. You know, but other than that, reoccurring characters, Jesus, Parthian shots this year, dropped this year. Shout out to Televangel, and shout out to the Crate 808 podcast. Already know what time it is.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, bro. Thank you so much. You've been delivering just incredible music. Metatron's Cube was just one of my favorites of last year, and I've not stopped talking about it. You. In fact, I was at a Gujarati wedding this summer with an elder in-law, and we was standing there by the bar, and it's like an Indian wedding. And he was like, the show's going well, but he's like an old school Public Enemy head. So I didn't know where he was going to be at. He's like, yeah, checked out that Metatron's Cube. It's amazing. I checked out that Billy Woods as well. Amazing. I don't know who these guys are. And I was like, wow, it's like a 50 or 55-year-old.
You know what's really interesting about Metatron's Cube is like the people who like it, like Vinny Paz and like fucking Core Mega. Shit like that. Yeah, like, you know, like, it's just, I don't even know how these things even, it's just one of those things, like, you know, that's really one of the joints that kicked down a couple of doors for me. And because, like, me and Televangel have been just making music so long, it just happened so organically to us. This is just another project, not just another project, but this is just our next project. And that luckily was, not luckily, because we've been doing it, but that was the one that reached the people, reached you, and, you know, a couple others. And ever since then, I've just been going twice as hard because a couple more people are listening. So
love that. Whatever you and Televangel have been doing, it feels like, you know, when you first hear, I hadn't heard much of your guys' work. It felt like you were a duo. It felt like Ghost and Ray. It felt like
So did you, I'm sorry to cut you off, you ever listen to Blue Sky Black Death?
No.
Yeah, so he was in a production duo called Blue Sky Black Death. You should look them up. They got a Wikipedia page and everything. They did a lot of stuff back in the day for like Hellraiser, Jean Grey. They were caught up in a lot of that Baby Grand bullshit. You know, Baby Grand's like whatever ass label.
That what it is. Because he did DM me on the side and started dropping those gems to me, and I was like, right, okay. So there's,
you know, anytime you mention us in something, he's the one. He definitely spends a good, like he checks you, he watches you guys. I don't really get the chance to do too much. You know, but anytime you do something, he'll send me some shit. He sends me anytime that y'all show us love, you know, like and from then I watch him. Yeah, so
I appreciate that. Well, whatever you guys are doing, it feels so together. It feels like you two work so well together. I'm always gonna look forward to what you drop next.
We trying to like, even though we not necessarily both from here, we trying to, not even trying to, I think what we did kind of kick down a little door for the Northwest and a couple other people who are like in our region, in our world specifically. You know, like within the collaboratory shit. Televangel at the helm with beats and me kind of doing things behind the scenes like I usually do. But I think like with a couple people who were within that immediate, if you check just the collabs, just like, you know, Nacho Picasso is a legend where I'm from, where I live. Him and Televangel's work go back. Televangel did all his albums. Milk from Portland. We trying to, when you hit me up, was laying something down for Squad B from the main attractions. You know, Squad B and Televangel go back, and
wicked.
I don't think it's too overzealous for me to announce that we definitely want to see Squad B part of this thing. You know, bringing these people from the era that I was really in love with, that whole Mishka Blogland era that I was so lucky to kind of be a part of in multiple ways, giving them their next win and whatnot. So, yeah, shout outs to Televangel, Blue Sky Black Death.
Yeah.
You already know.
Absolutely love that, man. Absolutely. And I think it's the Fish That Saved Portland. That album is incredible. Like, again, this is what's coming out of that area, and I'm here for it. I'm absolutely here for it. I know there was a chat, I think it was the Call Out Culture podcast, I know Mike Eagle, and they were talking about this indie renaissance that's happening in the underground.
Yeah, I seen that. I got to tap in. I got to ship some shit in a little while, like later, so I'm going to have that on.
Yeah, tap in, because interested to see what you think about what they were saying about the label aspect. Mike was like saying how, it's amazing how there's been this growth, but it can still go further. And when there's more indie imprints, when there's more indie labels out there working like Backwards are working, or like, you know, Rhyme Says did back in the day, when that starts to really solidify and emerge is when you know you've got something. And like you said, your area is going to be amazing to see just the growth. It's like also
the foundation of punk. Like when you had all these early punk labels like SST Records putting out Black Flag and I believe like the Minutemen. There was all of these smaller labels that like at first weren't necessarily driven by profit. But, you know, over time and like with consistency, like, that becomes what it is. It's like, you know, we see what's the writing's on the wall. Print is on its way out. It's been on its way out for a long time. Like what y'all are doing is the medium.
For now,
when they came down, well, I mean, you know, until it's time to make the next pivot or whatever in X amount of years. But at this current moment, I think it is safe to say that most people, even me, like when I got most of my podcasts listening in, y'all included, when I was doing most of my commutes to work.
Yeah.
Traveling and things of that nature, you know. So I think that with as much as the world is taken out of us, we need to be able to just throw something on our ears and get our recommendations, as opposed to making the time to sit down and read lengthy articles. It's like, you know, TikTok and all of these things, the median attention span is ridiculous. So it's just like you know, there's pivots happening as far as media, there's pivots happening as far as labels. And that's why I said I do wholeheartedly believe that within the next 2 or so years, the lines are going to be very blurry as far as labels, what it means to be indie. I was talking to Milk really quickly yesterday, and we were just talking about, you know, congratulating each other on releases, because within the last 2 or so weeks, we each dropped something. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, Televangel's wins are mine too, vice versa, you know, so I celebrate those like they're my own. But I was like, I feel, you know, you don't really be knowing. This sounds a little, not egotistical, but I've been doing this shit for a break. So it's like, when people be making history, or when you be watching documentaries or seeing things now and hearing stories from people, and they always talk about like, during that time, I didn't realize what we were doing. Or that it would have, or they go, did you have any idea that it was going to be? So I was pretty much just telling him, like, yeah, we are in that period right now.
Yeah.
You know, where like some history is being made at all levels, and and you know, the artists who are ahead of us, their wins raise the tide higher for all of us.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely, man. What a way to end it. That's exactly it, man. And I'm here for that rise. Let's just keep pushing, man. I'd love to hear what's coming next.
You are very essential, yo. You and to all the people who take the time because they love doing this to have us on your shows, to even give us that retweet. Like we all play a role in this. You know, we all, certain people's role and passion might be on administrative sides. Certain people's roles might be on the other side of the camera, filming the video, and certain people's roles, you know, to get together. You know, I enjoy these combos. I'm a fan first, and I want to uplift people, so we all provide a service to each other. So, you know, I'm just as thankful for y'all as, you know, some of y'all may be for me.
Oh, big up, man. Big up. It's a beautiful thing, man. Community is a beautiful thing. So, Suede, before you leave, then, I have to ask you what I ask everyone before they jump off. What is the last great piece of music you heard? Could be old, could be new, just the last great piece.
Yeah, I mean, yo, so ever since I got back from Europe, I've been like really switching it up as far as trying to I've been absorbing stuff with outside of my algorithm or going deeper into subgenres that I already love. I've been listening to a good amount of Uncle recently.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
The British band?
Like, for sure. Yeah. And I've been listening to a good amount of Uncle. I've been on my real down-tempo type of vibe. Especially, you know, I always love that shit, but after going to Bristol, after, you know, eating the food and just walking those streets that all these greats did, and just, I've been really, I'm going to say the classic, I believe the science fiction Uncle album, that was my shit through the airports. Marshall Allen presents Sun Ra and his orchestra. That's been, these were all very essential to my traveling home. I had a very long journey home overseas that took 3 flights, some lost luggage, 18-hour layover in Manchester. You know, that's just what the timing just made it like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's so those pieces of music accompanied me. And I think that, ever since then, I took that and just let these little Spotify algorithms bring me to more places of people I haven't even heard. And I'm just kind of in like a wave of hearing music where I don't even know who some of these people are. Like, I go back and do my homework, but yeah, that's kind of the vibe I've been on as of recent. I'm trying to think about, though, I want to give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to like one of the peers, though, for that question. See who I could lift up.
Absolutely.
I mean, Rap Ferreira, Asiatic Black Wizard, Lily Funk. I'm gonna do a bunch of little shameless plugs for the homies.
Do it.
Milk and Televangel, Fish That Saved Portland. This is in sequential order these last couple of weeks. Hold on, we're gonna start off Arm & Hammer, We Buy Diabetic Test Strips.
Yes.
You know, then we're gonna go rap. This is in order of drop. Rap Ferreira, Asiatic Black Wizard, Lily Funk. Milk and Televangel, The Fish That Saved Portland. AJ Suede and Steel Tip Dove, reoccurring characters. And I'm excited about 2 albums this week. Pink Navel and Kenny Siegel, How to Capture Playful. And Big Spencer and August Fanon, Psychological Cheat Sheet 4. Very, very great month for music.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's my playlist is going to be a shuffle of those joints. I got to tap in with the new Fielder too, because I need to, you know, also round that out as far as, you know, but it is what it is. So great music all around.
Yeah, absolutely love that. When you put it like that, it just feels ridiculous. We have this much music. Like, oh my God, yeah. I'm still playing the Portland album, and I can't wait for the next one. But thank you, man. You take it easy. Keep pushing. doors are always open. And yeah, we'd love to have you on again. I'm sure we will. We actually do have another one planned at some point as well on Rock Marciano. So stay tuned for that. Do you know what? I probably don't. Yeah. I probably actually don't now, unfortunately. Good, but that's absolutely fine because this chat's been amazing, so it's all good. But yeah, man, look, just take it easy. Do your thing. What I'll do is I'll hit you up on. So I'm actually going away next week for 2 weeks. So
yeah, just hit me whenever.
Yeah, if it's just good. If this time is good for you, or if you need to do it a bit later or whatever, yeah, it'll be another hour, and we'll just talk rock next, and it'll be I'm looking forward to that. So I feel
like since that was our first talk, we got a lot of other stuff out the way. The rock one should be a little bit more.
Yeah, but I'm here.
We were just like establishing rapport and whatnot. The
absolutely,
rock one should be a little bit more about like the music.
But I'm here for the rambling, bro, and the listeners are as well. That's what's part of it, is the conversation. So yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
But yeah, enjoy Nas, enjoy Woo later today.
And day 2, unfortunate, all 3 of them ain't there. But get to De La's opening up too. So
wicked. I know that'll be amazing. But yeah, man, take it easy and big yourself up. Keep pushing, my bro.
Will do, bro. Cheers.
Peace.